Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Crafting with Holly. Thank you so much for popping in here. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. And if you've been following me for a long while, you know that every Friday I pop in here and share whatever is going on for that month with the stamp of the month. And we have a brand new month. It's February. It's the first Friday of February. And look at this amazing Say It With Flowers stamp and thin cut. Oh my goodness, you guys, look at how substantial this thin cut is alone, and look at how beautiful all of these flower images and leaves are, and the sentiments are so lovely. I love the script that they used for each of these sentiments. And I cannot wait to share with you the artwork that I have created with this. But I wanted to just point out this catalog, the January-February catalog. This is the last month to purchase from this book. And there is so much goodness in here. If you have been following me through the last month, you know that Let's Party was a phenomenal collection that I had so much fun recreating. Please go back and look at the videos that I created showing you how to create a companion page for this one. And then I also shared how to use the balloon stencil that is featured in this catalog. And let me see, I should have tagged it. This one right here, this stencil is so incredible. And there's a video showing you step by step how to layer this with 3 different colors. It's so fun. Just one of the many things in this book that has just drawn my eye in. But I also wanted to note that these 3 thin cuts have sold out twice and they are coming back. So stay tuned. These should be available in February sometime. And then, of course, this is the hero today, this fabulous stamp of the month. Don't forget, if you're a VIP, you get the stamp set itself for free, and then you can get the thin cut with it at a really generous discount. Those of you that are not VIPs, it's $5, and then if you do want the thin cut and stamp set together, it's $21.95. So for VIPs, you take $5 off of that. And the artwork that I've created is just, oh my word, it is so beautiful. It's even prettier in person, I promise you. But just look at the details of these flowers. I'm going to teach you 4 different ways to color in these flowers. And you're going to learn a lot. I learned a lot as I was creating these. It's just a really terrific set. This is the slimline that we're going to create. But today, I'm actually going to walk you through how to create this 2-page layout, and I'm going to try and hold it so that the light doesn't reflect against the page protector, because I did add flip-flaps to this, which really was super fun, and I'll share with you that trick that I used to actually create it like a bookend. And then lots of clustering, lots of beautiful stenciling, and I'm going to walk you through how to do all of that. This is probably the most fun, and that is this Stamping the London at the top with the new Lollipop stamp set that's available just in this catalog. And then again, really fun details with flip-flaps. Even though they're discontinued, I still wanted to share with you how fun these were. And look at the detailing that I did. I ink distressed around these, and then I also did a decorative border just to add some element to that. And then I just love all of those clusterings. So this is going to be such a fun set to play with. So let's go ahead and get started, and I will walk you through how to create this 2-page layout. So I'm using Make It From the Heart Volume 6, Pattern 2 for the left page and Pattern 7 for the right page. So I'm going to go ahead and start removing the pieces, and I'm going to get the right page out of the way right now, and then start stacking all of the pieces for the left page into some piles, and that way I can go back to them when I need them. And what I want to first do is, I love the ink blending that's on page 9 in the top right layout. And so I'm going to do that by using a stencil from my stash that's no longer with us. And I looked at both inks, Sage and Mink, and I realized that the Mink was the best part. So I'm just taking some adhesive to secure that page down. And then I'm going to take the stencil and use some of our masking tape to secure it onto my white daisy base. And I'm putting that up in the top right quadrant. And then I'm going to tap off onto my ink pad with Mink, and I'm just going to carefully add color. And you can see the harder I press, the more ink I'm going to release from that brush. And I want it to be real subtle and light. So I'm going to lift it up and see how that color looks like, and I'm really happy with that. So now I'm going to use it in the bottom left quadrant of this base page. And again, it's real key to go in a circular motion so that you're not going against the stencil and it won't ruin the stencil itself. So now that I've done all of that, I'm going to take that and put that out of the way. And now I'm going to take the circle and I'm going to use the Sage ink to ink blend right in the center of that circle just to give it a little bit of pop of color. And I really love that. It just really helps to elevate that decorative element. And then I'm going to use those wonderful new tags that we have and this stamp set to stamp my sentiment on there. And I stamped it in the mulberry ink first, but then I found out that the mist was what I really liked. So now I'm going to go ahead and start attaching these pieces to the top and the bottom. And at first when I was using this mix-in, I was going to use that solid sage piece, but then I flipped it over and I saw how awesome that piece looked with the white and sage, and so that's the one that I chose to use instead. And then I'm just attaching, I love to use the tape runner together to get my glitter paper and my narrow strips of cardstock together. It's just so much easier to attach your adhesive that way. And then if you have anything hanging over, you can go back and trim it off. So I'm doing the same thing with the bottom pieces, just getting some adhesive onto them and lining them up. And just making sure that I line it up with the bottom nicely, and then the same thing with the glitter paper. I just love that little accent of glitter paper. It really makes it look so good. And then I'm just trimming off the excess there. And then I'm going to start attaching the pieces. And you'll notice that I'm going 3.5 inches down from the top and 1 inch from the side. And I'm using my Versamat to help me measure that. And that was the mulberry cardstock. And then this is the pattern paper. It is 3 inches from the right side and 2.5 inches from the top. And I'm using the new T-square ruler to help me line that up. And I love the fact that you can use the Versamat along with this new T-square ruler. And then this is the periwinkle, and then I realized that I had this on incorrectly, so you're going to see me change that out in a second. But this piece is supposed to be 1 3/4 from the bottom, and then it is 1 3/4 from the right side. And then these are my charcoal photo mats that I'm lining up according to the instructions, and that's when I see that I put the periwinkle and the mulberry cardstock on here incorrectly. So now I've got to take those pieces off. And thank goodness the Close to My Heart adhesive is so good and forgiving. It just gives you that little bit of wiggle room. So now I'm going back and I'm following the instructions to line these up correctly. So you get to see me make lots of mistakes, and hopefully you won't make the same ones when you're doing this. And now I'm tucking in that piece E, 2 1/4 inches from the bottom, and it is just butted right up against piece F. And now I'm lining back up piece G, again 3.5 inches from the top and 1 inch from the left side. And these are my photo mats that I'm tucking in, and then I'm taking K and D and I'm lining those pieces up the way they should be. And now I'm going to build this decorative element, which is the title according to the instructions. And I'm just using adhesive, and I'm going to use foam tape. So you can see the piece that I had, mulberry, it just was too matchy-matchy, so I loved using mist ink for that title. And then I'm popping that with some foam tape, and then I've added the shimmer brush to these, and that's the coloring tip for this. The shimmer brush just really gives a soft accent, and I wanted these flowers to be very subtle on this page. I didn't want them to stand out too much because of course my pictures are the hero, right? So I'm just squeezing some clear shimmer brush onto a block, and that way I can paint and pull up some extra color if I need it while I'm painting all of these flowers and leaves. And so using intense black is fabulous because you can use any type of medium on it and it will not bleed. So I'm letting those dry. I'm getting my photos onto their photo mats. I'm going to use these flip flaps in the 4x6 format. And then I'm going to just start using foam tape to pop out these flowers, and leaves are going to be flat with adhesive, but the flowers are going to have foam tape on them. And I'm just, tucking them in and placing them where I want them. Love our 3D foam tape, and it is the regular 3D foam tape, and those are listed in the comments in this video, so you'll get to see all of those. And the guide has all of these instructions as well. Okay, now I am ready to add some of these clear sparkles, and I'll be moving on to the second page, which is the right page. But I love these little clear sparkles. They just add that little bit of sparkle and shine. And actually it's the silver glitter gems that I used this time. Okay, so now I'm pulling off all of the pieces for the right page, and we're going to do the same thing. This time I'm going to put them in the right pile so that I know which order they go into. But I'm going to go ahead and do the stenciling according to what I saw for layout pattern number 7. And again, I'm doing the same thing. I'm just laying that stencil down onto the white daisy cardstock and then just lightly pressing with the mink ink, pulling back to see if that's how much color I wanted. And now I'm going to do the same thing for the bottom, kind of more towards the center of this page. And it'll create that triangle look when you're lining them up next to each other. Okay, now that I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and attach this camera paper from the Sweet Memories paper collection. And that is 2 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. But then I realized that I needed to go ahead and add these narrow strips, the 1 inch by 12 inch strips. And that one's going to start at the 2 3/4 of an inch mark from the bottom. And then I love that you can refill our Close to My Heart adhesive. It is so quick and easy to refill. And now I'm going to take all of these narrow strips and add my adhesive to them. And then again, line them up at the bottom and the top of the page. And they are a little bit different than the left page, but I actually like that. I think it creates some continuity in these two pages. And I love that you can take 2 single layouts and bring them together to create a double page layout. And this Make It From the Heart Volume 6 pattern book is so great because it has single pages and double pages for you. Then I'm just lining those last 2 narrow strips up. And I'm just trimming off the excess again with my nonstick scissors. If you don't have those, you got to get them. And then this is piece C, and it is being attached a 1/2 of an inch from the left side and 2 1/4 inches from the bottom. And then I'm attaching my 2x2 photos and getting them in there. And then I just needed to lift and adjust that one ever so quickly. And then I'm going to go ahead and get my photo mats. And this time I chose to do white bases for a double mat on these 3x4 pictures. And I just think it really helped to kind of pop them up since they are smaller. And I'm getting those lined up where they belong. And then this cluster, the bouquet, I'm coloring that one in, and then I'm going to tuck it behind that top 2x2 photo. And I just thought that was a really nice decorative element. And then those are my flip flaps that I'm going to use. And then attaching the 4x6 photo, and that is 1/4 of an inch from the bottom and 3/4 of an inch from the side, and it's kind of at an angle. And then I loved adding this Lollipop font to my page, and I'm using the Versamat to line it up where I want it. It's 1.5 inches in height, so I want to make sure that I've got equal amount of space. I'm going to use a pencil to just draw the line. And then I'm going to use the charcoal ink to stamp the L first and then go towards the right. And I love using fonts, and I love how clear they are with our blocks. And it just makes it so easy. And I apologize that my head's getting in the way, so I'm moving the mat down so you don't have to see my head, but I really needed to look a little bit more closely so I could get that lined up perfectly. And then I'm using the Rub and Remove eraser to just gently remove the line in between the stamped image. So I'm not erasing on the ink that I just stamped so I don't smear it. And I love the Rub and Remove eraser. If you don't have one, you got to grab it. It is like the key thing in my arsenal for scrapbooking, because not only does it remove adhesive, but it's also an eraser. So now I'm attaching those photo mats. They are 1 3/4 inches from the top, and then they're 1/4 of an inch from the side. And then I'm lining up that 4x6 photo, and then I'm coloring in that cluster of leaves and flowers with the shimmer brush. And then I'm going to pop that up with some foam tape right above that 3x4 photo. And then these smaller ones are going to go down in the bottom part of piece C. And then again, you can see that I'm just adding that foam tape, removing the backing. I loved these clusters, and again, it created a really nice visual triangle from the top, the bottom, and then to the right. Adding those silver sparkle gems, and that's it. We created a beautiful 2 double-page layout featuring the February stamp of the month, and I really hope that you learned something fun and unique using these stamps and a shimmer brush to color in. So now I'm going to just add my flip-flaps to the base pages, and I'm removing the adhesive that I had on my Versamat and also on the back of that page so it'll slide in nicely. And then I'm going to attach my flip-flaps. So if you've never attached your flip-flaps before, you can now. And I also did some sponging on those 2x2 photos, and then I used the journaling pen to outline them as well. I know I mentioned that earlier, but I wanted to point that out again. And then you flip it and stick it to your page protector. And now we're going to get the left page in. And then this is how I attach the flip-flaps to create a bookend. Sure, I'm going to attach the left side first, and then I'm going to attach the right one, but then it didn't fit so well, so I had to tear it off, line it back up again, and then I realized it still didn't fit, so I tore it off again, and this time I placed it on top of the flip-flap and then stuck it, and that worked beautifully. Thanks so much for joining me.